The fate of the world is once again in the hands of time travelers and confused individuals. Plus, Hitler teaches us how to throw grenades. That and more on today's episode of The Real Review, so stay tuned.
Welcome to The Real Review.
Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios. We get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. I'm here with Matt Nature Walking. Hey.
Hey.
I saw that little post you did out there on Facebook World Land, and Insta World.
Often I don't post a lot of those things. Kayla does, and then she tags me in them. And
was that Kayla's?
Most likely.
Okay.
And then it shows up on my page because it was tagged. So then you see it.
That's probably how I saw it. Was tagged. I mean, I follow both of you guys, so
yeah, that's good.
Could have been either, but was that beautiful, nice?
Yeah, it was real nice. We do stuff like that every other Friday or so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I had a chance a month or so ago. I went out to Oregon right when the leaves were changing, and I was like, holy cow, leaves change color. Here in Arizona, it's either
what?
hot or cold.
It's either brown or green.
Brown or green, pretty much. Yeah. So anyways, who am I today, Matthew?
Everybody, I'm here with Joel Carl Cunningham.
Coral. I haven't seen that show in a good long while.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's actually a Terminator reference.
I know. It was a different one, but
that's for all you listening out there. It's a Terminator reference.
Well, that ties us right into what we're going to be talking about today, Matt.
Bam.
So good job. We're going to be talking about two films, Terminator Dark Fate, which came out actually about a week and a half ago at this point.
All the
we're
fates.
Just getting a chance to talk about it. And Jojo Rabbit, which is a very much indie film of sorts, but it's
an
by Taika
anti-satire
Waititi.
film.
It is. So we're going to get a chance to talk about those a little bit. I think we're going to lead off with Terminator. But before we get into that, Matt, why don't we give listeners, and you in particular, why don't you give our listeners some ways to get connected?
Me? Really? Are you sure?
Yes, I'm pointing at you.
Okay. Sounds like a great deal. Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Real Review. Hey, you can get connected with us a number of different ways. Let me break that down for you. We have our website, which is reelreviewmedia.com. But then from there, you can also link to all of our social media platforms, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at reelreviewmedia. And you can also email us at reelreviewmedia@gmail.com. If you got some comments, if you want us to review something special, something like that, then let us know. And that's where you can do that at. And that's it.
That's perfect. You did a great job with that, Matt. I appreciate that.
Boom.
So just a reminder, you guys, how we kind of do things on the podcast here. I know it's been a little while, but we're getting back into things again. Matt and I tend to be a little bit sort of divergent styles. He tends to be a bit more of kind of the fan, emotional perspective. I tend to be more of the critic, analyzing, strong, opinionated perspective. I'm trying to say these in the nicest ways. And so we put those together to kind of give you the whole thought and perspective. Not that we don't have converging and mixing ways of looking at films.
Like a Venn diagram?
Yeah. It's very much,
We sync up in the middle sometimes.
Agreed. And so that's a good way of putting it, Matt. Very nice. Very analytical. So we put those together to give you our real thoughts and perspectives. And so, Matt, why don't we get things going here? We're going to hop right into talking about Terminator Dark Fate. I'll lead us off with talking about what? I was confused. I was like, I thought you had something to say, but that was great.
Yeah,
there you go.
I love that score.
All right, Terminator Dark Fate. Synopsis for us is Sarah Connor, and a hybrid cyborg human, must protect a young girl from a newly modified liquid Terminator from the future. That's a very odd. I don't think that's a great way of putting all this. But anyway, directed by Tim Miller of Deadpool fame. Writers are probably too many that I want to name. There's a lot of different writers in there, but we have Linda Hamilton reprising her role as Sarah Connor, Arnold Schwarzenegger in there as a surprise T-800, as well as Carl. Mackenzie Davis new as Grace, Natalie Reyes new as Danny, and then we have a few kind of side characters. Gabriel Luna as Rev 9 or Gabrielle, and Diego Boneta as Diego Ramos. I'm gonna let you go, Matt.
Okay,
you tell your opinions and perspectives on this first.
Here it is, guys. Terminator 1. You know what? I actually saw Terminator 2. Let's go back into history a little bit. I saw Terminator 2 Judgment Day before I saw Terminator 1. So I don't remember that. I remember watching the first one retroactively when I was little. This is just one of those movies where my dad probably let me watch when I was a little too young back in the day, but I loved it. Terminator 2 is like one of my favorite 90s movies like ever.
Yeah.
And the just everything that goes with it, the vibe, the feel, and how cool everything looked, especially the T-1000 back in the day. I think really liked it, and really, really awesome movie. Now, coming into this, I remember going to the theater and watching Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines.
Yep.
I remember enjoying that as a kid, though, but I was also in high school. Not even high school. Yeah, I was high school, like a freshman or something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember finding enjoyment in it, but I don't remember it very well.
Yeah.
Like
it's pretty forgettable.
Yeah. And then Salvation, I liked elements of that, but I remember feeling like they gave away like some of the big twist moments in trailers.
It's a big thing for you, Matt. I know that.
Yeah.
You don't like that.
they gave away the fact that Sam Worthington's character was
Spoilers.
spoilers for this for Salvation, guys. Don't worry about it. They gave away that Sam Worthington's character was a machine in the trailer.
Yeah.
I was like, why would you do that? That's like a reveal, you know?
Why?
Anyways, I liked elements of that. I don't not necessarily how it concluded, but Genesis I did not care for at all.
Yeah.
They totally, I feel like that was the weirdest thing to me.
Yeah.
This one I think is the best one since the second one, but not as good as like I would hope it to be. I enjoyed Dark Fate. The action scenes were really cool. Favorite parts, I liked Linda Hamilton, but I think my favorite was Mackenzie Davis.
Yeah.
I think she was really great. And some of the action set pieces with her, there's the fight scene that you see in the trailer of her in like this detention facility with the Rev 9, which is Gabriel Luna's character. And that was awesome. Really love that. But as a whole, it's very much, it's a rehash of Terminator 2, just differently, with different outcomes and different things from the future that are happening. I'm kind of torn because I found enjoyment in it, but there's things that I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I wasn't as sold on the Natalie Reyes character, Danny.
Yeah.
I was like, I just wasn't sold on the future that they were selling in the movie as much as like the whole Skynet thing from Terminator 2. But I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I would agree with mostly what you're saying. There was good elements and there was bad elements. The better elements for me were Mackenzie Davis, like you said. The action as well was a really good element for me in the sense that every action scene and set piece felt interesting, and there was good like action moments. It was very clear in a certain way, very clear, but not at times as much.
Sure.
What was happening and why and what the stakes were. And it never felt necessarily too pointless with the action. Everything as well, special effects were great for the most part, especially some of the de-aging stuff or the way that they kind of did like in the very beginning.
There was some de-aging stuff. I don't know if we can talk about that without spoiling.
Right, and I'm not going to go there, but really good.
Yeah.
I mean, almost
I was like,
where I was like,
whoa.
Yeah, was this shot in another previously shot and just like set in this movie?
Yeah.
I think where my struggle begins with this movie is that we've seen this story done now so many times and in so many different ways, where it's like the one person that can't die that's trying to be killed by a AI machine that is sole purpose is to destroy it, destroy that person. And it's so like overused now with this series in particular that it's like it removes a lot of just the innate interest and suspense that I have in the movie. You know, it's like we've seen, I think it's like 5 or 6 movies at least, where it's like, okay, the main plot is there's this person who's going to do something that's very important, and now the machines want to stop that from happening, so they have to destroy that person. What I needed, I think, from this film that would have made things more interesting and complex was not just an updated version of that story with like modern sensibilities, you know, with the whole like, well, it's, I don't want to spoil it, but like what Natalie Reyes' character's role is in that is being updated. None of that really does anything interesting to me. What it really just does is says like it's just an alternative version of what we've already seen.
Exactly.
What would have been interesting to me is like, well, maybe they are prepared this time for this robot to come back,
right? And
maybe they have something that actually can destroy it, but then maybe the robot gets destroyed, but it doesn't, or something like that. Like maybe it alters itself. It becomes like a virus type thing, or it just does something where it's not like the whole thing is just a journey of trying to escape from this robot or trying to be not killed by this robot, because it's like otherwise it's just bland and flat, and mixed with really good acting for most of the people there, except for it was a bit difficult, I think, at times. It was quaint but difficult with Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger's characters. They were so, I'm just going to say, I'm not trying to be like ageist or anything, but so old that it was a bit unrealistic at times to see specifically Linda Hamilton's character keeping up, with the action scenes and just like all these fights that are going on. I'm like, she gets hit a couple times and I'm like, yeah, you'd be dead. Like
right.
You wouldn't even need to, like, you wouldn't get up from that. And then Arnold, just, I get that he's like a robot and he's aged and everything, but it's like, he looks old, and every time they came on screen, it was interesting, but it felt like the story slowed down a lot.
It's funny that it's funny in this movie, Arnold's character has all the jokes.
He does.
He says like a lot of funny things. They're like, weird.
Yeah.
Huh. Like, I mean, he does some of that in the other movies too, but I wasn't expecting it, and I guess because I was expecting something, because this seems so dark. Just everything was supposed to be really, really dark. Dark fate.
Dark fate. Oh, they got the dark fate. Yeah, I'm making it sound very negative. I'm going to probably give it a higher score than what I'm saying, because I think the action took it a long way.
Yeah.
I think Mackenzie Davis's plot took it a long way, her story. It was interesting because she wasn't just like a mindless protector. Like, she had a relevance in a weakness as well. That was interesting to see, kind of working for her and against her. And it was really cool seeing both sides of that kind of play out for the film, and it was kind of like, how are they going to deal with that? How are they going to deal with that struggle? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say what was also really cool, because she was my favorite part of the movie, but I did like that they put some thought into what an updated Terminator could be with the Rev 9, like the whole, and you see it in the trailer, everybody. I mean, the fact that that this thing can operate autonomously in two separate ways, the liquid metal form that could come off the skeleton, yet the skeleton is still doing its own thing. Yeah. They did some really, really clever and cool things with that. And I thought that added to the action element in a really fresh way, I guess. I was looking for freshness in a movie that didn't feel fresh overall, like fresh in a sense that it was just a retread of a lot of things, and just like you said, an alternate reality of something that we've already gotten.
Like, if you're looking for fun and fresh, you'll get the fun, but you're not going to get the freshness from it. You're just going to get like a retread with a modern sensibility of kind of what this film could be. And, if you look at the original Terminator, like I started with the original Terminator, if you look at that, it's a simple, very straightforward film. I mean, it's a very low budget film. It really was like, we're just trying to do one thing with the film. The second one was great because it naturally took everything to a bigger level, and the stakes rose, and it was like, we're not just dealing with like this one guy now, we're dealing with like this whole cataclysmic world-ending apocalypse that's like on the verge of taking off. Whereas this one's like, I don't even know how now this is supposed to, they weren't very clear about how this all works in the future, and they
didn't really talk about it.
No, they're just like, this happened, and then that happened, and then that, and it's like, you're explaining it, but you're not explaining how.
Exactly.
And you're not explaining really why. And it was just weird how, like, okay, and it's like a minor spoiler here, I guess, a little bit. So if you don't want any spoilers, maybe jump ahead like 30 seconds or so. But the stories are so similar of how that future lines up with the original future that it just seems weird. It's like, how could they be that? You're going to tell me that goes like the exact same direction? Like, it doesn't use some alternative means of accomplishing this future instead of just creating the same exact robots with the same exact type of technology? That just felt very like stupid to me. And I think what I'm feeling a lot of this as well is like, if you look at the writers, they only have probably a few people that actually engaged in writing this, but they have so many listed as being involved with the writing process. Even James Cameron and everything has been looped back into this. There was probably so many added, like, oh, we got to have this moment, and oh, we got to have that moment. Oh, you remember this moment from the original and the second one that everybody loves so much. We got to do that again, and we got to have this, They had that big, chase scene, so we got to have that big chase scene, and they had that, smelting thing, so we got to have that smelting. It's just like, and so that got so kind of just like, all right, I feel like I'm probably just actually not being fresh, and now I'm talking about this, so I'm going to cut
It's all
myself
right.
off.
It's okay. I got you.
But why don't we give our review numbers on it?
Score, and I might be lower than you might think. I'm going to go on this, but I'm going to be 79.
Actually, it's right where I'm at, 79.
Yeah, I feel like it could have been, or 79 as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I feel like as far as a C+, let's go. I mean, a C+ is where it is. It's a little bit better than meh for me, and that's kind of where the lower to mid C's is kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
But this had a little bit more to it that I like, and like I could see some of those like action scenes again. I thought they were really cool, fun in that way, as you're saying. It's just not enough to push me. His content was a little meh.
It's not a bad movie.
No.
The dialogue is good at times. The soundtrack is fine.
Yeah.
I think it's just you're left asking, well, like, why didn't you do something different? Why didn't you try and maybe they felt like, well, they went way out there in other ways with other films, and it just didn't really work for them, and so they're trying to like bring it back to what it was, but it's not doing very good box office wise. I think a lot of it is just we're all tired of this series in a lot of ways, and it's a good enough film that I could see them.
They need to truly reboot it.
Yeah.
Like, truly reboot it.
Start from the
all
beginning.
New characters, new everything.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be new.
Maybe I don't know. People would watch though at this point. I mean, I would probably watch, but we've had so many different like restart.
Iterations, yeah.
It's like and
this one's like we're the real sequel to the second one.
Exactly.
Like, this is retconning the last 3 movies.
Yeah, and I mean Genesis left a lot of negative.
Yeah, Genesis was awful.
3 was bad for some of the hokiness, and just I think it just felt pointless in a lot of ways. And the recastings of different people and stuff. And then, you have Salvation, which was just kind of like, eh. And then Genesis was like, ugh, like left a bad taste.
Yeah.
The point of it is just kind of, can I give one? I don't want to give a spoiler, but I will say this. With this film, one of the things that really ticked me off is like, they have a technology that's available to them now in the context of the situation of this film that is capable of doing what they need to do, of destroying the robot.
Yeah.
How could they not figure that out sooner? And how could they not do something quicker and easier to make that a relevant factor in this engaging and fighting with that robot? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like if you have a technology in the future that could destroy this thing that you're going to have to destroy in order to protect the future, why not come back with plans for that?
Right, exactly.
Of making that happen, of come back at like an earlier time with that technology, or with a way of creating that technology. You know what I mean? Like Marty in Back to the Future, like he had to, harness lightning, but he got Back to the Future. It's like, why not do something like that with it? Which that would have been much more interesting to me than just like, hey, we've got to protect the one person again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I get it. I get it.
Cool. Well, why don't we move on then, Matt?
Let's move on.
I've attacked this one quite a lot. Are you prepared and ready to?
So prepared and ready.
Do you want to give a synopsis?
Yes, let's do this.
For this one, yep.
So the next movie that we're going to talk about is Jojo Rabbit. It's the latest from director Taika Waititi, also known as Korg, who we love Korg so much.
Yes.
And so it stars a number of people, but let's go through the synopsis real quick. It's really simple. A young boy in Hitler's army finds out his mother is hiding a Jewish girl in their home. And yeah, that's part of it. But the movie is a satire. It's goofy. It's weird. But it's all intentionally done so. And if you know anything about Taika Waititi or know anything about his body of work and what he does, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It fits his style and what he tries to build and his, like I said a couple years ago, one of my favorite movies was Hunt for the Wilder People, and that was him, and I really, really love that movie.
Which I still have yet to see.
Yeah, it's really good.
I need to watch it. I've heard good things from everybody.
And then, okay, so let's start with Jojo is Roman Griffin Davis. Then you have Scarlett Johansson, Taika Waititi's in it, Sam Rockwell, Rebel Wilson, Alfie Allen, Stephen Merchant, Archie Yates, a number of different people and that pop up. You're like, oh, hey, I know the guy. And then Thomasin McKenzie as well, who plays Elsa. Let me just say, I really, really like this movie.
Yeah.
Really, really liked it. There's one element that happens that kind of like, it hit me emotionally in a way that I wasn't expecting it to, and it thus made a different element of the movie not as effective later on. But I think it's one of those things where I got to kind of weigh the bad, like what I did with yesterday, because I really like Yesterday a lot. The movie Yesterday, sorry, clarification, people who are confused. But this movie, it's so weird. When you see Taika's version of Hitler pop on the screen, first you're like, okay, what is the deal here? And then you realize why he's there. And then you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. And then this is kind of weird. It's kind of goofy. And really the movie that I like it as a whole, and I think it works because the movie is about it's about destroying hate in people, and the commentary that goes along with that. And I thought it was done in a really effective manner, in a really kind of endearing way. I got real heavy at the end, and that's my only detractor from the movie. But
Yeah.
I think
When you messaged me about it, you were like, I have such mixed feelings. at the moment
right.
about
But
this.
as a whole, I really, really liked the movie. There were so many times that I was laughing, and a lot of them has to do with when Taika's on screen and what he's doing, and how he's involved in every situation that Jojo's involved in, and I was just giggling and laughing the whole time, and it was so good. And then it got really heartfelt. And Scarlett Johansson is awesome in this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
And what she does and how she kind of navigates life with Jojo as his mom. And I would really recommend this movie. I mean, like I said, it's weird, but it's intentionally weird. And I really, really appreciated what it had to say, where it took you through on the journey to the end of the film. Some of the things I didn't want to happen, but they happened anyway. And I'll get into the negatives on that a little bit. But overall, I really, really, really like this movie. Yeah. So that's my overall thought on that.
Cool.
I think let's talk about, I can't spoil it. So the movie overall has this really kind of light tone with some like deeper themes about hate and, people just hating people because they don't really know them, or they think because a higher power is telling them, that they should hate this person.
Yeah.
But it's for the most part, it's light, and it stays relatively light, and it's funny, and all these characters are like really absurd and like just over the top, and it's really funny. And then it gets like serious, like really serious, kind of towards the end. I'd say the last 20 minutes or so, it gets really serious. And at that point, anything that's supposed to be funny in the rest of the movie to me was not as funny. And I was like, because I was so affected by this like really serious thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't laugh, but I get it. I understand it, but man, bummer. Okay. Anyways, so that's kind of where my like good with the bad and the weighing is kind of coming into play. Same with Joker. Like as a film, like I thought that movie was a masterpiece, but I just felt like it's just too icky for me to give, like I'm really letting my emotions weigh the score in this a little bit and how I feel about it. So, do you have anything to chime in on?
I wish I had seen more of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm weird set of circumstances for me, but I only got to see a portion of it and I had to stop.
Yeah.
So, not in a bad way. I
Yeah,
wasn't like,
sure.
oh, I can't watch this.
Sure.
So I kind of need to get back in there and finish it. It's an odd thing to just try and give a review though after only seeing. Like
I would
15
encourage you
minutes
to
of
watch it. Maybe we can circle back on it.
Part 2, Jojo Rabbit Part 2.
For sure. I'm gonna give it a 90.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a very high one for you.
Yeah. It's really, if this thing would have went a different way, I probably would have been like 95, 96.
Wow.
Yeah. But I was like, nope, not gonna happen. So, but
That's awesome, Matt.
still, really, really liked it for sure.
I mean, that's dipping in one of your best films of the year almost. So.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of the movies I've seen in the last month or two have probably been my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I've seen.
I mean, it's pretty normal for us, I guess.
That time.
Better films start coming out at the end of the year,
Yep.
which is pretty normal because they're trying to get those Oscars.
Yep.
Anyway, cool. Well, I appreciate you sharing with that, Matt. And like you
totally.
said, maybe I'll try and wrap my little review in there at some point after I've had a chance to check it out. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up then on the podcast.
Do it.
Again, some ways to get connected, reelreviewmedia.com. We have Facebook, which is facebook.com/reelreviewmedia. Instagram and Twitter, which are both at reelreviewmedia. And then we'd love to hear your thoughts and perspectives and inputs on the movies we've seen, the movies we haven't seen. So send us an email, shoot us a line, reelreviewmedia@gmail.com. Love to know your thoughts and perspectives. So, Matt, anything further?
No, that's it.
Are you getting excited for the Disney Plus launch?
I am.
Mandalorian and
100%.
all those things. Yeah.
I'm really excited for the Mandalorian, by the way.
I think a lot of people, that's the big one they're going to check out pretty much day one, launch day.
Tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. For us right now, it's
Yes.
tomorrow. I didn't realize they weren't going to... It makes sense now that I think about it, but I think all of us should assume they're probably going to have most of their content on there. There's a lot of stuff that's not going to be on there. They're going to have all the Star Wars films, but they're not going to have all the Marvel content. As far as the Marvel films, just to do licensing deals of
there are still contracts out there, like Netflix has like some of their stuff still.
Right.
Yeah,
You're not going to be able to watch everything day one, but I think they're going to make up for a lot of that with the additional content. They're doing a much better job of launching than Apple, which is like, why would I get Apple TV Plus, whatever? Because it's got like 2 shows that I'd be interested in. This one's like, hey, we got plenty of old content, plenty of new content. So.
And eventually we'll have like their vast repertoire of everything.
Yeah, it's getting more expensive. That's the sad thing. It used to be this was a cost-cutting thing because you could get Netflix
but now you have to get every
you got Disney Plus, Apple Plus, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu. It's like, come on. Anyway.
Come on.
All right. Anyway, well then, it's been real.
It's been real.